Won't you come closer? Brown sugar, babe. I guess high up your love, I don't know how.
A few months ago, more than 40 talented R&B artists got together with a very special mission.
They recorded an inspiring song for the Jason's Lyrics soundtrack about young brothers coming of age.
What's the real story with Dangelo, the neo-soul king who gave us gems like Lady and that unforgettable Untitled How Does It Feel? With silky falsettos, raw emotion, and unmatched talent, most people will argue that he changed the game for R&B. But behind the awards and smash hits, there was a roller coaster of personal struggles, media pressure, and a 10-year disappearing act. Let's get into it.
You don't have to just talk with your mouth. There's a lot of different types of communication. Music is another form of communication.
Dangelo, born Michael Eugene Archer in South Richmond, Virginia, grew up in a super religious Pentecostal family. His dad was a preacher. His musical talent was obvious from a young age. Like, he was only 3 when his older brother caught him playing piano around the house. By the time he was 18, Dangelo was ready to go all in on music, so he dropped out of school and moved to NYC to chase his dreams. Before that, he was in a band with his crew in Richmond, mixing soul covers with some of his own original tracks. His big break came in 1991 when he and his group entered the amateur night competition at the famous Apollo Theater in Harlem. They won 3 times in a row, took home a cash prize, and went back to Richmond inspired to make music. Dangelo started working on an album and writing his own stuff, all after a short stint in the hip-hop group IDU, intelligent, deadly, but unique. He went on to make a name for himself early on when he helped co-produce the track You Will Know by the R&B supergroup Black Men United. The song, featured on the Jason's Lyric movie soundtrack, was a big deal for Dangelo, even though he wasn't super famous yet. But it showed off his skills in the studio, proving he wasn't just a performer, but a real musical talent behind the scenes too.
A few months ago, more than 40 talented R&B artists got together with a very special mission.
They recorded an inspiring song for the Jason's Lyrics soundtrack about young brothers coming of age.
You Will Know was packed with R&B legends like Brian McKnight, Tevin Campbell, and Gerald Levert. And the song itself was this soulful, emotional ballad about love and unity. It hit the charts hard and fast. Dangelo's work on the track showed off his talent for creating deep, emotional music, something that would totally define his solo stuff later on. The song was a game changer for Dangelo, helping him reach a bigger audience and showing off his skills as both a producer and musician.
Proceeds from the sale of this top 10 hit will be given to the United Negro College Fund.
It set the stage for more collabs and helped him hone his signature sound. Working with big names gave him street cred in the industry and gave him the confidence to start working on his own music, which led to the drop of his iconic debut album, Brown Sugar. The album didn't blow up right away, but once it did, Brown Sugar was everywhere. It landed in the top 10 on the R&B charts and kept climbing. By the end of 1995, it was flying off shelves, selling 35,000 to 40,000 copies a week. By January 1996, it had already moved 400,000 copies. With bangers like Lady, Brown Sugar, and Cruisin', the album went platinum in the US by February and ended up selling over 2 million copies worldwide.
Brown sugar, babe. I guess high up your love, I don't know how.
Dangelo's rise to fame was fast, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. As Brown Sugar blew up and he became an R&B sensation, the pressure of it all started to weigh heavy. The hype around his success and the constant spotlight on his personal life took a toll on his mental health. The media's obsession with him, plus the stress of being in the public eye, really messed with his head. On top of everything else, Dangelo had to deal with his battle with alcoholism, which made things even harder. His drinking got out of hand, and it started messing with his career. In the mid-2000s, he was arrested for drug possession and DUI. This only made things worse for him. putting even more spotlight on his personal struggles. The arrest added fuel to the fire, making headlines and sparking all kinds of media drama about his future. He pretty much went off the radar, taking a break from the public eye to work on himself and his art. While he was away, he spent his time quietly dealing with his issues, working on new music when he could, but the struggles with addiction and his mental health kept him silent for long stretches. No interviews, no public appearances. He was just trying to find his way back. After dropping Voodoo, which had huge hits like Untitled, How Does It Feel, he basically vanished. Despite Voodoo being a huge hit with critics, he took a step back, leaving fans wondering what happened to the guy who was once everywhere.
Won't you come closer?
Another curveball in Dangelo's career, the whole symbol label that came with his iconic, untitled How Does It Feel video. You know, the one where he's shirtless, all sensual and up close with the camera? Yeah, that turned him into a heartthrob for many, but Dangelo wasn't exactly thrilled about it. He talked a lot about how uncomfortable he felt with being boxed into that symbol image. It just didn't fit with his music or who he was as an artist. So, he pretty much disappeared for a while. He took a step back from everything, dealing with his own struggles and trying to find himself again. His fans were left in suspense, wondering when he'd come back to the music scene. During this time, it wasn't just about the pressure from the outside. He was also battling addiction and self-doubt. This whole situation created a tricky relationship between him and the public, as he tried to handle it all behind the scenes. Dangelo made a huge comeback with Black Messiah in 2014, dropping his highly anticipated third album. This time, he came through with a more grown-up, introspective sound, touching on everything from social justice to love and redemption. Fans and critics were all over it, but it was clear his break from the spotlight wasn't just about music. It was a whole journey of personal growth and healing. Dangelo's life has definitely been marked by some heavy personal losses, one of the hardest being the death of his dad. Losing him hit Dangelo hard, leaving a deep emotional scar that influenced both his personal life and his music. His dad had been such an important part of his world, and losing him forced Dangelo to face grief and work through some complicated family stuff. He channeled that pain into his music. He turned his grief into art, which became one of the defining things about his career. His songs started carrying more emotional weight, with themes of loss and heartache showing up in a way that felt real and raw. You can really hear this deeper emotional side of him in his later albums, where he opens up about tough moments and introspection. On Black Messiah, Dangelo really brought the heat, and you could feel it in every track. After being MIA from the mainstream for years, he came back with an album that was packed with raw emotion. Songs like The Charade and Betray My Heart dive into his own struggles and the frustration with the world, showing he wasn't just the smooth crooner anymore. He was an artist pouring all his pain and real talk into his music, making it hit deeper than ever before. Losing his dad, along with everything else he had already been through, added a new level to his sound. It pushed him to make music that was way more real, hitting closer to home. His grief became a big part of his artistic identity, turning his pain into something powerful. His music wasn't just an outlet anymore. It was proof of his strength and how he could turn tough times into something deeply moving.
Everything that you desire, baby.
Dangelo's career is basically full of mic drop moments that have shaped not just his journey, but the entire R&B and neo-soul scene. So like I said before, Brown Sugar was a total game changer, blending smooth vocals, killer instrumentals, and poetic lyrics that set the bar for the genre. The album was a huge hit, both commercially and critically, and instantly put Dangelo on the map as one of the front-runners in neo-soul. Tracks like Lady and Brown Sugar became R&B radio essentials, with Dangelo's smooth falsetto and laid-back style winning over fans everywhere. After Brown Sugar, he came through with his second album, Voodoo, and basically locked down his spot in music history. This album was a total game changer, mixing funk, jazz, and soul in a way that hadn't been done before. It shot straight to #1 on the Billboard 200 and got major love from both critics and fans. Tracks like Untitled, How Does It Feel, became instant classics, with Dangelo's smooth delivery and raw emotion hitting listeners right in the feels. Voodoo earned him multiple Grammy wins, including Best R&B Vocal Performance, sealing the deal that Dangelo was one of the best at what he does. Between the fame, personal struggles, and the pressure to create something that really meant something, he went quiet in the studio for years. Fans were left wondering if we'd ever hear from him again. Then he came back strong with Black Messiah. Black Messiah blended bold political messages with personal reflections, diving into social justice, identity, and resilience. Critics and fans loved it, calling it deep and complex. The album hit #5 on the Billboard 200 and earned multiple Grammy nods, including Album of the Year. With Black Messiah, Dangelo showed once again why he's a trendsetter, mixing soul, funk, rock, and jazz into something that felt fresh and timeless. This album wasn't just about him making a comeback, it was about him leveling up. He got bolder in his music, tackling tough topics like protest and personal battles. Tracks like The Charade and Betray My Heart added some serious political punch to his usually personal themes, showing how much he'd grown as an artist. When you look at his albums, Brown Sugar, Voodoo, and Black Messiah, they really sum up Dangelo's legacy. Each one was a game-changing moment for him, blending raw emotion with boundary-pushing sounds. He's now one of the most influential names in modern R&B and soul, with artists who came after him pulling from his playbook. And that's a wrap on today's story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.